Hi again. I'm back. I'm trying real hard to get this straight, and it's just really it's getting difficult for me. But I just found out it is on the air, and you guys can see it. If you go to my Sped Answers consulting page, it'll show videos on the navigation bar, and if that video is lit up, if that button's lit up in red, to click on it, it'll take you right to the live thing. So just follow the instructions so you can participate. As I stated before, one of the biggest problems with special education is the fact that there are parents out there that are actually fighting the good fight, and they're trying to do things to help their kid in which their fight benefits other parents. However, there are parents who are not fighting and quietly accepting whatever the district provides them. And the problem with that is that the parents that are fighting, they suffer those consequences of another parent's inaction. And it's not to say that it's a bad thing, it's just a fact. Because the school district will actually say to a parent, well, other parents this and other parents that. Okay, so nobody cares when you're in a team meeting and a school district brings up another child, or they bring up another parent, or they bring up how other parents don't have a problem with what you're not accepting. You just remind them that the meeting's not about those other parents, and as soon as they want to bring in all those other parents, we can have that discussion. Until then, the meeting's about your kid only. It's not about the school district's needs. It's not about other parents. It's not about other kids. Because, see, you can bring up other kids to them, see, and they don't like that either. They don't like you because you may know another parent that is going through some problems at that school, and then secured services, they don't want you bringing that up at your kid's meeting. Oh, no, 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 no. So if they don't start it, then you don't finish it. My famous saying is, don't start none, won't be none. Because if they're going to bring it up, you bring it up. And it doesn't matter what they say. Because at any time, you can get up and end the meeting. You can say, I'm not participating in this meeting. I'm done. Put it in writing right after you leave the meeting why you discontinued the meeting. That's what you have to do. Because they like to pretend that it's all your fault. Everything's always the parent's fault. It has nothing to do with the fact that the school didn't deliver services. It has nothing to do with the fact that they just wiped away all of your services. Like I said yesterday, I have a parent that moved in, transferred her son to another school within the state, only 20 miles or so up the street from his previous school. He went in with an IEP that included OT, PT, and speech and language. You would think this is a no-brainer, right? Not so much. It's you would think that. You would think, I'm sorry, Leanne just put in, yeah, we're adversarial, we don't cooperate, blah, blah, blah. She's absolutely right. That's exactly what they do. And that's pretty much what they've done to her. The blah, 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 yeah, it's like the Charlie Brown Christmas show. Yeah, with the teacher that does that, blah, blah, blah. That's what the school district does to you guys. And that's okay, as long as the blah, blah at some point in time is legal. It's never legal when they're blah, blah on you. But what they did to a parent is they took away all of the kids' services, and then they decided to use, which it apparently is commonly known, that they use their opinions. Their opinions don't mean squat unless they have the evaluations to back it up, the technically sound evaluations, not the DRA2. Okay, the DRA2 is not technically sound unless somebody can produce some documents. But I can send you to a spot where it's not been deemed valid and reliable, and on top of everything else, it'll tell you a whole bunch of stuff that's wrong with it. It's great, I guess, for a typical kid, but not a kid with special needs, not a kid with a learning disability, not with a kid with autism, because it's all about communication. It's all about what they understand when they're reading and how they interpret the information, reading instructions and directions on how to do homework. See, the DRA2 doesn't do that. Okay, it doesn't do any of that. So to my knowledge, it doesn't. I might be wrong. I doubt it, but I might be wrong. The other thing is that they can't use invalid testing. Like on this particular kid, they decided to use the DRA2, and it's outdated and therefore invalid. I got it for $12 on the internet. If the up-to-date one costs like $1,000. Yeah. And so we were actually in a hearing in which Apparently the attorney got a little upset because I had a copy of it. I don't understand some of the things that come out of these attorneys' mouths because I can get help. If I can buy it, I'm going to buy it. It's not like I bought it on a black market or something. I bought it on Amazon.com and then I showed it to her. But see, they don't want us to know all this information. They don't want you to know this information. Just like they didn't want that parent to know that they can't change the kid's IEP. They can't change the kid's IEP and take away services based on opinions. But they want you to believe that's true. They need you to believe that's true. They need you to just accept whatever they're dishing out because it's convenient for their school. See, education is not based on what the school district has to offer. It's not. It's based on the kid's unique needs. And see, that word, unique needs, is critical to your child getting the services that your child needs based on their disability and their issues. That's what they need. They need to have all of the services based on that, nothing to do with the school district. So Leanne just asked a question. So what happens when a child transfers schools with an IEP? Can they take services away? Like I said, absolutely not. They cannot do any of that. They have to adopt the IEP. They either have to adopt the IEP that you came in on until a new one is written. Now they write a new one, but in order to write a new one, that doesn't mean that they take away services and rewrite your child's entire IEP. No. What they have to do is they either have to accept it, they have to adopt that IEP, put their name on it, and implement everything that's in that IEP, or they have to request, they can't take away services at all, because the only way they can take away services or dramatically change your child's placement. And I'll tell you how services equals placement. I'll tell you what that means in a minute. But in order to take away services, they have to do an evaluation. In order to do an evaluation, they have to, in order to do an evaluation, they have to get your consent. Yeah, just a little tidbit of information. I think I said this yesterday. Consent has to be informed, which means they have to know everything you're doing, how they're doing the test, what test they're going to do, what's the test. They have to tell you what the test is if you want, and you get an opportunity to meet with the evaluator. So informed consent is listed in the IDEA regulations of 307 pages, 537 times. That's how important consent is. So they can't take away services if you transfer into a new school without an evaluation, and they can't get an evaluation unless you consent to it. Anything beyond that, if they do an evaluation without your consent, it's illegal and you can cite them for that. And they can get in big trouble for that. And it means all of their evaluations, no good, trash. And once they do that, with or without your consent, if they evaluate your child with your consent, then you have the option to request an independent evaluation. The reason why independent evaluations are so important is because it's a second opinion. You see, school districts have an agenda. Their agenda is to keep costs down. The way they keep costs down is pretend your kid doesn't really have the disability that your kid has. Congress was smart. Congress said, you have to evaluate in all areas of suspected disability, period. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Nobody cares. You can't design an evaluation around the fact that the district can't design an evaluation based around the schools not having a particular service. They got to go get it. I don't care what they say. School districts love to tell you, don't they, Leanne? They love to tell you they don't have that service. So what does that mean? According to the school district, it means your kid doesn't get the service. Isn't that the same thing? It's the same exact thing happened in Pennsylvania. The take it or leave it approach is illegal. It's been argued and it's been won by parents. So I don't understand what they're talking about. Leanne just agreed with me. Yes, she did. So your child cannot be denied a service because the district doesn't offer it. It's not about the district offering the services. And hi, Tricia. Tricia says independent educational evaluations. They help to get her kids out of their lousy, this is what she said, out of their lousy school district. Yeah, buddy. Yeah, it did. It really did. The independent evaluations, they don't have an agenda. And by the way, when you get an independent evaluation, some schools, they love to pick the independent evaluator for you. Yeah, no, they can't do that. You pick the independent evaluator. In Massachusetts, the independent evaluator must meet a criteria such as they have to, the independent evaluator has to, I'll get it out, meet the criteria for rate setting commission standards. So in Massachusetts, an independent evaluator will only get paid a certain amount of money. So as long as they meet that standard in Massachusetts, you can pick anybody you want. And the state doesn't say anything. New York doesn't have that. Hi, Joanna. She's asking, in regards to the 3-year reevals, can you not consent to those? Yeah. Just, yeah. In order to, you have to do a 3-year. Okay, here's the thing. The reason why they're important, and I tell parents, don't worry, if your kid has never been evaluated or it's a 3-year reeval, let them do it. Just let them do it. Because then you tell me, and then I'll tell you all the areas they didn't evaluate in. And then we either can do 2 things. You can file a complaint and prove that they didn't evaluate in all areas of suspected disability, and your remedy is independent evaluations. In all of those areas, we told the state they didn't evaluate it. The law says they have to evaluate in all areas of suspected disability. So if they didn't do that and we can prove it, then the state has to issue an order for them to pay for independence. They don't get a second bite at the apple. That's another famous thing they love to do. Well, we'll do it again. No, you won't. You had your chance, okay? You had your chance, and you guys are in charge of implementing IDEA. So you read the same laws I did. The law says that you have to evaluate in all areas of suspected disability. We're not just going to keep doing this with you stupid school districts. You just keep giving you opportunities to evaluate, and then you don't do it. Bullshit. Excuse my French. Sorry, I get mad. So I'm going to try to keep this down. So, so Tricia said that her evaluations were $2,500 each. It depends on the evaluation. In Massachusetts, like I said, there's a rate setting commission standard, but in other states, not so much. In New York, 2 evaluations cost the school district $10,000. And it was because each evaluation was $5,000. There's no limit in New York. I mean, it's got to be reasonable. But in Massachusetts, like depending on the evaluation, a neuropsychological, for instance, is $1,500. In New York, we got it for $3,000. So it depends on what state you're in. It depends on your rules regarding independent evaluations. But still, the bottom line is you can't, the school district can't, the school district can't pick your independent evaluator. It defeats the purpose of an independent, because those people that they're picking actually have done it before. They work for the school district for all intents and purposes. Because when you get an independent evaluation at public expense means the district's paying for it. So because the district's paying for it doesn't mean the district gets to pick. There's a criteria, right, Leanne? There's a criteria. This is so funny. So we're in a hearing. And the district, the parents, before the hearing, the parent is requesting an independent evaluation at public expense. So the district sends a criteria. Under the federal law, the district can create a criteria for which you have to meet in order for the district to fund the independent evaluation. Part of it is the district has to provide you with a list. You don't have to pick from that list, but you you have to, this is such a funny story. I can't even believe what to tell you. So you don't have to pick from that list. However, we decided that we were going to exhaust that list. We were going to find out about these people. So the parent contacted everybody on the list. We found out one of the people that the school district was, there's a whole bunch of things wrong with the list, but one in particular, she was dead. Yes, she was dead. And this came up in the hearing. She was dead because they kept telling us that the parent wasn't meeting their district criteria. And I said at the meeting, so how, does this dead person meet? With a straight face, I did this. How does the dead person meet the criteria? I mean, she can't, where is she doing it? Because her gravesite is within a 250-mile radius of the school, so she can do it. She can't do it, she's dead. And a few people didn't have a license. Some were retired. Some didn't even live in the state. So, I mean, it was a whole bunch of people. So, Leanne just agreed that, yes, it can't, what is it? Yes, and it can't interfere with your right to an IEE. So just because they give you a list doesn't mean you have to choose from it. And it doesn't mean that everybody on their list, you should use their people. The reason why the district created that list is because the district has already used these people. They already know, they got them in their back pocket. You want somebody that's completely independent. For instance, Massachusetts, I get independence done all the time. Massachusetts, we use Massachusetts General Hospital. Nobody's messing with Mass General. Nobody's messing with that. Whatever they come up with is beautiful. It's in depth, it's precise, it's detailed, it's everything you need it to be, and it's all about one kid. So, okay, Joanna just asked me, can you bring up the results of IEE during the due process hearing without having the evaluator as a witness? Absolutely. Matter of fact, do yourself a favor, submit all of your evaluations, whether you have, as long as the school district had them, before the hearing process. Anything that you gave to the school, submit it into evidence. It's perfect, because your independent evaluations, whether the independent evaluator testifies or not, carries more weight than the school district's evaluation, because what you could do is you can compare the two evaluations. You can bring it to the person who did the evaluation and say, why did your evaluation say this, yet the independent said this? See, and what's going to happen is, this is the cool part, if the district wants to counter that, they have to subpoena your evaluator. And guess what that means? They have to pay for them. So they can't argue anything about what's written in that evaluation unless they subpoena the person. So you present that as evidence. It carries as much, if not more, weight than the school district. Just because the person didn't come up as a witness doesn't mean Jack Doodley squat. Okay, and Leanne's talking about, and they have to have a meeting to discuss. Yes, they do. So if you get an independent evaluation done, and it says a whole bunch of shit in there that, I said it again, a whole bunch of stuff in there that the independent evaluator is saying that your kid needs, and it's based on the independent evaluator's in-depth evaluation of instruments that the school district didn't use, you give it to the school district immediately within a specific amount of time, just like their evaluations. As soon as they get it, within, I'd say 10 days, they have to schedule a team meeting to discuss the results of that evaluation, even if you don't have the evaluator at the table. Because in Massachusetts, if you bring in the evaluator, you have to pay for them, or the school district does. And sometimes you can work out some deals as far as how much it'll cost for them to attend a meeting. So if you go to an independent evaluator, what you need to do is find out from the independent evaluator, one, will they attend the meeting to discuss their results so they can explain them, or two, can they how much are they going to cost for it? So what you need, I just saw something go across my screen. I swear sometimes I'm ADD. So something just went across my screen, completely lost train of thought. But anyhow, they don't have to come, and you don't have to call them as a witness. You can use that evaluation to disprove and discredit the school district stuff. That's what you need to do, okay? So put it in there. I don't care. You put that in there. If it helps your case, anything that helps your case, emails, that the school district is telling you that they can't do this and they can't do that, and you're sending them emails that have the law written in it and all of that stuff, send it. It must be a part of the record. Make sure it's a part of the administrative record. They have to have a meeting to discuss them, like Leanne said. You do have to do that. Because then there's after you discuss that independent evaluation, now the team has to determine, well, anything that we discussed in this evaluation, do we agree with it? And do we now modify the IEP to include this information? And if the school district says no, then the school district has to put that in writing and say, no, we're not going to put it. And we don't care what that guy says. And we're going to do it our way. And now they have to send you your rights. They have to send you, they have to put it in writing that they're not going to give you, I'm sorry, I'm hitting the table. They're not going to give you anything in that evaluation that the doctor recommended. And they have to tell you why. And they have to send you your procedural safeguards, because you made a request at that meeting, and you tell them, I'm telling you, I'm making a request. I want everything in this. And so, and then before you get up from that table, you tell them, you just denied me my services. Oh, another thing. When you go to a team meeting, somebody at that table has to be has to have designated authority to make decisions. So for instance, and I've heard this a lot, And I catch school districts doing this all the time, and then they give me the no. So if you make a request, they can't say, well, we have to check with the SPED director. Well, you have to what? We have to go talk to somebody else. You have to what? No. So you don't have any authority in this meeting? Is that what you're telling me? You don't have any authority? This is an illegal meeting. So what do you think I came here for? I came here to discuss this, to have another meeting? No. Meeting's over. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to reschedule this meeting again. And what you guys are going to do is have a person of authority sitting at the table. You just violated my rights and wasted my time. Impossible money if you had to bring an advocate. So the meeting's over. You end the meeting immediately. Okay? And you get up and walk out and tell them to reschedule it. Then when you go home, you put it in writing and send it to them. You had a meeting without a designated authority, without somebody who was designated the authority to make a decision. You don't have to discuss it. That's why we're having the team meeting. Oh, and by the way, that's why when you send your independent evaluation to them, you send it and give them 10 days to read it and then schedule a team meeting. So they can't say, well, we need time to think about it. You had time to think about it. You had 10 days. You either tell me no or you tell me yes. If you tell me no, you put it in writing. If you tell me yes, we have to modify the IEP. That's how you talk to these people. You have to take control of the entire situation. I'm trying to see if I missed any question. If I missed any questions, just pop it back up again and let me know. Tricia did say that the district paid for her 2 children's placements, 100%. So in Massachusetts, for instance, a lot of private schools and hospitals, if your kid is hospitalized a lot, the hospitals for the children will tell you, oh no, the school districts don't pay for residential. That's a lie. They do. In fact, they pay for residentials across the United States. In Pennsylvania, they try to get the insurance company to pay for residentials. Here's the problem with that. Once the insurance company says, okay, we're out, you can't bring the insurance company to a hearing to sue them to fund the placement. Unless there's it's called an interagency agreement between the State Department of Education and other human service agencies within the state, such as like the Department of Social Services, whatever it's called in your case, in your school. In Massachusetts, it's called DCF. In Pennsylvania, it's called CPS. So they have to have an agreement with these agencies that for a child with special needs, they'll pick up the tab for certain things. Any human service agency can be brought in. So let's say DCF or CPS is involved in your life and have been for a number of months. So you file for a hearing. If you file for a hearing and they're involved in your kid's life, you can bring them into the hearing because the hearing officer can issue an order for like cost shared agreements. So they can issue an order against CPS or DDS, as they're known in Massachusetts, Department of Developmental Disabilities, for children who are cognitively challenged, and the Departments of Mental Health, or the Departments of Human Services in Pennsylvania. You can actually force them into a hearing. They're human service agencies, and they can either provide services to your kid, or they can either provide services to your kids, or they can fund placements. So, and a hearing officer has jurisdiction over them, just so you know. Yes, they do. I don't care what they say. Yes, they do, and I can prove it. Because there's plenty of cases in Massachusetts, and especially in my cases, where hearing officers have ordered state agencies to provide a particular service. So Leanne just asked another question. Do parents have to pay for IEs up front? Absolutely not. What will happen is this. So under the law, there's a law for independent evaluations. It's 34 CFR 300.502. Okay, and at the end of this, if you guys remind me, I'll give you the link to go and find all of this. They just set up a new one for the idea, and it's real easy to look up numbers and the names of different things. So 300.502 is for independent evaluations, extended evaluations are called. And part of it tells you what happens. So if a parent, it talks about at no cost to the parent. So if you request an independent evaluation, and this is how you say it, you want an independent evaluation at no expense to the parent, at public cost. Okay, that's how you tell them. So the school district has 2 options. They either approve your request or they deny it. If the school district denies it, then the school district within a certain timeline has to file for a hearing to state that their evaluations were comprehensive and were comprehensive and met the federal criteria. Okay, and then you go in and you argue that it didn't. But here's a thing: so you don't pay for them up front. Now, if you think you're going to have a fight with the district, okay, and rather than going to a hearing, what you do is you file a complaint against the school district, citing everything that you just told the district their evaluations didn't include, such as they did not meet the federal or state standard. They were not covered. They did not evaluate in all areas of suspected disability. Now, I can show you how to do that too. I have a little trick, a little strategy that I use to prove that they didn't, and then now they're stuck. So if you need help with that, so there's two ways you can do it. If you think they're the kind of school like in New Jersey, one of the things they like to do is file for a hearing as soon as you ask for that. So what you do is you file a complaint and you say that the district didn't evaluate in all areas of suspected disability. You write it up, you prove it, and then the district, you write up your whole case. And then part of your remedy is you want independence at no cost to the parent. Now, what will happen like in New Jersey, I've done that. The first time, the lawyer was mad. One of the school districts, he got really mad because I beat him. And because I beat him, he decided to file for a hearing. So he pulled, the second time I did it, he pulled the complaint, because you can't have two going on. You can't have a complaint and a hearing on the same issues at the same time. So once he filed for the hearing, then the state pulls his complaint until after the decision on the hearing. So then he actually ended up forcing the parent into a hearing anyway. But here's the thing. If you write your complaint right, your response to his hearing will be your complaint. All you have to do now is include all the documents. If you do it right, if you write the complaint right, and the school district's attorney files for a hearing on your complaint will be pulled and replace it with a hearing, okay? But if you write your complaint right, your response to the school district's hearing request is your complaint, because it has all the evidence, it has all the case law, it has all the regulations, it broke it down, all of the areas that the district did not evaluate in. Then that's your counter, because you have to respond to his hearing. That's your counter. Then you proceed with calling witnesses, and you write down all of the witnesses you want to call, okay? So no, you don't have to pay it up front. Now, if you want to skip all of this nonsense, okay, in answer to Leanne's question, does the parent have to pay up front for an independent evaluation? If you want to skip all of the nonsense about hearings and complaints, what you do is take your insurance and you go down and you go get your insurance to pay for your IEE, okay? You get a neuropsychological evaluation. That covers everything except related services. It doesn't cover OT, PT, or speech and language. It doesn't cover a functional behavioral assessment, okay? But it does answer some crucial questions regarding those areas. So, for instance, a neuropsychological evaluation could recommend, based on their findings in all of those related areas, regarding behavior, regarding speech and language, regarding reading, all of that could make recommendations for all of those services. And if your insurance is paying for it, then you tell the doctor you want them to have clear recommendations as to what the next steps are, okay? So, Trisha said, can we change math house for me? Okay, that's another thing. You don't, there's nothing. Math, okay, your insurance is your insurance. You don't have to sign poo-poo caca, okay? You don't sign anything having to do with your insurance. Your insurance does not stop them from implementing any services. Your insurance, let me tell you what your insurance is. The reason why they want access to your insurance is to pay for the services that they're obligated to provide, whether you have insurance or not. And the way we're going in America, you may not have insurance anyway, unless you're paying out the wazoo for it. So whether you have insurance or not is irrelevant to your child getting services. I hate that so much, you have no idea. The law is clear. Whether the parent gives consent for the school district to access their insurance for any reason regarding the child, the school district is still obligated to provide those services. There's a reason why they need consent to access it. It's not a given. Do what I usually do, Trisha. Crunch up that paper and throw it in the trash. Just ignore them. No. They can charge it if you give them permission to access your insurance. They can charge it. Yes. So, but no. You don't have to give it. They're asking for and that school district is famous for that. They hate me because I tell my parents, absolutely not. You're not getting access to their insurance. I don't care if the kids in a private school or not. Okay. Leanne stated that many parents ask, what is a stay put and when does it apply? Can you explain? Sure. Okay. So stay put applies when you file for a hearing. Okay. And stay put means the last accepted educational placement, which is the last accepted IEP. Now, if the school's supposed to automatically do it, but they don't because they're no good. So what you have to do is you have to, if you file for a hearing, if you're in a hearing with the school district, the first thing you need to do is file a motion for a stay put. Okay. Now, when you file for the motion for stay put, if you contact me, I can give you case law. It's right. It's in books. I bought them, and I bought the book, so the case law is in there. So it's all about case law. I can give you information, and I'm getting mad already. Because the reason why I'm getting mad is because hearing officers across the nation apparently believe that pendency during a hearing means you don't make that ruling and decision until the day before the decision. That's what you're supposed to do. No. A stay put is to keep the kid consistent until the decision for the hearing. So whatever the kid's been getting, the kid has to continue to get. They don't stop. They don't do anything, because here's the other thing. Like, you can actually file for a hearing if your kid's in a private school. So what does that mean? So that means that if your kid's in a private school and you file for a hearing, that doesn't mean the district gets to pull your kid out of that and go put him back in public school. That's the reason for the stay put, to stop things like that. Or if your kid's getting OTPT in speech and the school district, like a case I know about, and the school district decided because you transferred in to take away your kid's OTPT in speech, and the parent rejected that IEP, that IEP is in place rather than the IEP that the kid came in on. So there's reasons for us. That's why it's called a stay put. You stay put. You stay in the educational placement. And if a hearing officer decides that they're not going to do their job, you can report hearing officers to the state for violations of due process state adjudicatory hearings. In Massachusetts, there's a special law for it. It's 801. It's called it's 603 CMR 801, and it's 1.0. It's 1.1. Okay, and I'm still trying to figure out where it is in New York and in Pennsylvania. But hearing officers are obligated to answer motions. Otherwise, what's the purpose? We might as well have one big team meeting. They don't get it. So Joanna asked, can the school conduct your 30-day review if you are still in stay put? I don't understand, honey. What do you mean 30-day review? What review of what? Evaluations? I don't understand. Is that part of the evaluation? You're in a stay put. It doesn't matter what they're doing. As long as there's a hearing, your kid's on a stay put. I don't care what they're doing. It's a stay put. No, the only thing that's operable is the last accepted IEP. I don't care if you're in a hearing. I don't care if you filed a complaint. I don't care if there's a 30-day review. 30-day IEP review. There's no such thing, honey. You either have an IEP or you don't. There's no such thing as a 30-day IEP review. Who's telling you this? That's wrong. Absolutely wrong. There's no such thing. Okay? Your kid either has an IEP or he doesn't. Yeah, I know, Leanne, me either. Your kid either has an IEP or he doesn't. This is what I want you to do. Sell those. I gotta slow down because I'm getting mad. Tell those poop heads to send you what a 30-day IEP review is. Tell them to send you that. You want the written policy that says the school district does this. And then you want to know what law it's under, because there's no such thing. Your kid either has an IEP or your kid doesn't. You don't have a review. Nobody sits back, relax. Nobody does none of that. No. Tell them to skip the review, revoke consent, whatever that is. I don't know what that is. Until they can tell you what the hell that means, you tell them, I don't know, you're done. That's what they do. It's an annual. There's no. I hate people. I really do. I hate everybody. I just hate these people that are torturing my parents. Okay. There's an annual IEP review. That happens every year. The IEP runs from 1 year to the next. There's no 30-day review. None. What are they going to come up with? Your IEP's no good? You tell those morons, okay, that I said. That I said. They can go online and look at this thing. You tell them to cough up what they're relying on to do a 30-day review on an annual review. And what does that mean? They stop services? I mean, they need to explain to you what a 30-day review is. Tell them to break it down, put it in writing, and send it to you. Every time they tell you something, I'm telling everybody, every time these people tell you something that they have to do, you tell them to put it in writing, their policies and procedures and practices. And if they can't, they're lying. Okay, and then you tell them to provide the state law and federal law that allows them to do that. What does it mean? You tell them. You're going to stop delivering services for 30 days? If they say yes, you tell them you owe my kid 30 days of compensatory services. Nobody told you to stop my kid's IEP. And then if they say, well, you agree to it, then you rescind your signature. Now you put it in writing. You say, yeah, I rescind my signature for an IEP review because I'm only supposed to get I mean, how many times do you get that? Okay, she says, yeah, Leanne, I just said that. Yeah, there's an annual review. Yeah, I know. She says they do an annual review at the end of the school year and then a 30-day review when the next school year starts. No, they do what? They do an annual review, period. You're done with that. You tell them never, ever, ever to do unless they can produce a reason why they're doing it. Tell them to produce a reason, put it in writing. Yeah, we don't know the purpose, Leanne. See how mad I'm getting? I can't even take it. Okay. Yeah, yeah, Jessica. I mean, yeah, Trisha, it does. It sounds like a Jessica term. Yeah, okay. You guys have to understand something, that they make up stuff just because they can. Because everybody accepts it. You know why? And it's not your fault. Parents, it's not your fault that you accept everything the school district says. Because for years and years and years, I mean, going back to when public school started, we have put teachers and people that work in public school settings on a pedestal way, 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 way up here. See, so everything that comes out of their mouth, we believe. Because why would anybody going into this field, this is our thought process, why would anybody go into the field of education and deliberately hurt a child and prevent them from getting an education, or to use their thought process and their opinions about what education should look like for a child when we have documented proof what it should look like? Beyond your opinion, I'm going to tell you a little secret. An opinion is like anything else everybody has. Everybody has an opinion, just like something else everybody else has. Exactly. Okay? So, exactly. They're doing this, like Leanne said, to mitigate responsibility and take services away. That's why they're doing your 30-day review. You ask, though, you put it in writing, one sentence in an email right now. While we're talking, do it. You tell them, I want to know what the purpose is of a 30-day IEP review. What does that mean? What does it entail? Is there documents? Is it data that's collected and then we're going to do this review? Why is it only once? Why is it scheduled for just before? I mean, it sounds like they're delaying the inevitable. Because if they're going to have an IEP review, a review of what? We're going to sit down and look at the IEP and say, well, let's talk about the IEP review. What are they reviewing exactly? Are they reviewing the entire year? You can do that at the IEP meeting, honey. Yes, Trisha, be nice. Yes, she says, we know your child better than you. You're kidding. The parents? No, the parents don't know the kids better. No, they're the educators. They know way more than everybody else. Yeah. I eat them for lunch. And it's not even the educators that's the problem. The problem that you guys are having is not with the educators. The problem that you guys are having are with the administrators. Yeah. The school superintendent. Don't know poo-poo caca about anything. You know what he knows about? The budget. Okay, the budget. They're worried about cost. The special education director, yeah, she's also worried about, or he is also worried about cost. Okay. They're not worried about your kid at all. So yeah. So Joanna says, she has a good one for me. She says, at her yearly meeting, the CST had no progress data that I requested. And when I refused to discuss the goals without the progress data, I was told I had 15 days to file. Oh, what are they going to do? You don't file in 15 days. Did you ask them that? Okay, so when a school district threatens you like that, because that's a threat, you say, or what? Their response is, or what? I have 50 days. What? I lose it? Okay, then you tell them, okay, first of all, you say this to them. I don't have 15 days to file. Okay. You totally defeated the purpose of the 30-day IEP review because you didn't bring anything in here to review. Okay, that's number 2. Number 3, according to the state and federal complaint system, I have a year to go back on this stuff. That's number 3. Number 4, for a hearing, I got 2 years on this stuff. So you're wrong about the 15 days, and produce that document that says I have 15 days. Anytime a school district puts a limit and gives you an ultimatum, makes an arbitrary decision, tells you about things that if it doesn't make sense to you, they're lying. They're lying. They have nothing else to do. They lie when telling the truth would be better. And there's just no reason for it. And you know, the reason is ego. It's all about the ego. They want to be in charge. That's why they don't like me. I actually had a person tell me that. You know, nobody likes you. Who? Nobody in the school district? Good. That means I'm doing my job, stupid. That's what I said to her. What I didn't tell her is the stupid part. But I should have told her stupid because the way I said it to her made her look stupid. I'm glad. That's a good thing. Yeah, I'm doing my job. So, yeah. Oh yeah, Leanne, yeah, parent participation. She says parent participation means sit down and shut up. No, honey, that's collaboration. To collaborate with a school district means you do the meeting that I did the other day. Oh, the fluff meeting. Yeah. Can somebody text Barbara? But it's a text meeting. I mean, it's a fluff meeting. So what they want to do is they get you all in there. So they say, do you have any questions? Praying that you don't have any questions. Or they go all the way around the room. They ask you if you have any questions. And when you say you do, they say, well, can you wait for after the meeting and then after everybody gets done? And because, you know, people have to leave. Duh. Well, if they have to leave, then I have to ask questions right now. And I don't understand. So if we're going to have a fluff meeting, meeting's over. You guys go do what you want to do. I'm going to reject whatever you give us because you wanted to have a fluff meeting. You wanted to sit here and talk about you. You wanted to sit here and talk about how wonderful the kid is doing when, in fact, you have no data. The kid can't read above the first grade level. The kid's in the 9th grade. I mean, seriously, you think this is good? The kid's been in your school since you was 3. What are you, retarded? I'm sorry. I had to use that word. And I think I can use it in this instance because I'm serious. I think these people need to be on an IEP. I've said it for years. I've told OSEP that they need to be on an IEP. It's not the kids. If the school district staff was on an IEP, let's think about it. Goals would be written like this. The school district staff will implement all of the IEP 100% of the time across all settings. Yes, that's the goal. The objective is to individually address each objective within each goal. That's just, and the measurement would be with 100% accuracy and out of 3 out of 4 opportunities across 2 consecutive sessions across 180 school days. There. That's the IEP for the school staff. That's how you write it. Because our kids would do better sometimes, I think, if they just stayed at home. So let me see. Joanna says, I guess she filed for a hearing, because they wouldn't transfer not achieved goals. Now the judge says the district states they don't have the data. So what else do you want? Exactly. If they don't have the data, transfer the damn goals. That means the child did not meet. Yeah, that means the child did not meet adequate yearly progress. That's what you use. The child did not meet adequate yearly progress. So 2 things is wrong. 1, the IEP goals and objectives were too big. Or, and here's the or part is the one that's more important. Or, like Medea says, or, they didn't implement the IEP. It's just that simple. No data, no meeting of the goals. So then would you tell the judge, good. Then I want them to fund independent evaluations to determine what she does or he does know. Because I don't know now. The IEP was never implemented. That's your position now. That's what you tell them. Trisha, went to the school committee meeting last night. I bet you that was fun, Trisha. I was the only parent. Lots of kids are opting for vocational school versus public school. No kidding. And here's the thing. Do you know, everybody, when your kid turns under federal law 16, school districts are supposed to do what's called a transitional assessment, which addresses all of the things that your child may need in his IEP to help him go on to higher learning, get a job, live independently. It also talks about, it's called, in Massachusetts, it's called the 688. And what it is when they reach, before they reach 18, the school district has to send out documentation to determine which public agency may be responsible for funding something that the child may need as an adult, like housing and Social Security and Mass Health and all of that, or any insurance. I'm just saying. I use Mass Health because of some of my clients. But yes, it's lots of money. That's what they get. They should, but see, that was the problem. See, your school district, Tricia, they don't have a vocational program there. They and that's a problem. But see, the state came back and said that your school district, they implemented the transitional assessment, that the IEP goals and objectives meet the state and federal standards, and it's a lie, is what it is, a big fat lie. Leanne says, okay, after they meet all the goals, they graduate from the IEP, right? Leanne, that's not funny. That is not funny. There's no such thing as graduating from an IEP. And you know that. Stop making me laugh. That's just hysterical. Yes, they actually said this. A teacher, licensed and certified in New York, actually told the mother, Leanne, that her son graduated from a service. Graduated. How do you graduate from OT? PT, speech and language. How do you graduate? How do you do that? These people are crazy. And then they get mad when I call them out their names. That's why. It's not funny. They don't meet the goals because it depends on how old, when do you meet a goal? How do you determine that? See, what these people don't want you to know is, in order to determine if your child does not need a specific service, or even an IEP, they got to test them out. So they have to prove that they tested the kid and prove that the kid doesn't need it, period. No, don't. In New York, we actually had for PT services, okay, we're going to talk about this later time, but their idea of a PT evaluation, I'm not kidding, was the recess, not even a resource, was the recess monitor with a checklist that we to date, to this moment in time right now, do not know who created this list. We don't know. And she checked it off what the kid could do and then said the kid had no problem outside. So apparently because this student was not in a wheelchair and was mobile and could jump and hop and walk and skip, and didn't matter that he tripped. It didn't matter that his coordination was off. And none of this, his body movements, none of that mattered. But because the recess monitor said the kid didn't need PT, he didn't need it. Even though we had an evaluation, the school district tried to put their checklist that a recess monitor, the person who has no credentials whatsoever in the field of PT, they're crazy. Isn't that like it's They're crazy, and they want everybody to be as stupid as they think that they can make us. Nobody's that stupid. Nobody. It's not funny, Leanne. Stop laughing. Okay, so Joanna says, how do you fight for an implementation of a goal when they say the problem does not affect the child in school? Really? Get out. They're saying it there too? Yeah. Okay, tell them to prove it. Tell them to prove it. Because, okay, here's what I tell them when they tell me that stupid nonsense, because it's bull. Your child is going to school for one reason, right? One reason. To give your child the education and the skills that once your child graduates from school or ages out of school for special education, that he can be as independent as possible. That's what school is all about. That's what it's for typical kids and for kids with special needs. So what you do is you put that back on them. So you're telling me that all of this that my kid learns can only be applied if he's in school? So when he's 35, what does he do? Is that why you went to school? Why did you go to college, you tell them? Why? I mean, if that thought process is what you're using, good. So what you tell them is, put that in writing. Every time these people tell you something that you know in your heart is cray-cray, you make them put it in writing. And if they don't, you put it in writing. As soon as you get back home, you write an email to the SPED director, the school superintendent, and the person that made that stupid response, that stupid comment, and you tell them, this is so-and-so said this at such and such a meeting on this date. Please provide me with the written documentation to support that position. since this is what school is all about. So my kids in school to learn only how to act in school? Are you kidding me? So you taught my son how to read. Does that mean he can't read in church? Does it mean he can't read when he's ordering food in a restaurant? What does that mean? You have to point this out to them. You have to, because they'll shut up. They'll literally shut up and look at you like you have 14 heads. And then they're going to detour around that, and you bring them right back to it. You bring them right back to that question. When these people don't answer your questions, you look at them nice. This is what I do. On Leanne, on Trisha. This is what I do. I look at them and I go, yeah, okay, that's nice. Now, can you answer the question I actually asked? This is what I asked you. I'm going to need an answer to this. Quickly. Yes, that's the kind of stuff I do. So anyway, so then Leanne says they can't generalize across all settings. They can't generalize. They can't say the only reason why your kid's in school is to learn stuff for school. What does that mean? I mean, a teacher actually said that to you. See, to me, that teacher, you know, I have issues with teachers like that. This is why I don't put teachers on a pedestal. The ones that belong on a pedestal, the ones that go on a pedestal, because they are above everybody else. And believe it or not, there are people out there that are really, really good teachers that their whole life is all about the kid. And getting that kid is to where that kid needs to be. There's no ceiling. What that woman did, Joanna, was put a ceiling on your kid. So your education is so minimal in this school district that it cannot be used outside of the school. Are you kidding me? What did you go to school for? I would have said to her. Don't be afraid to stand up to these people. They're bullies. Do not be afraid, because I'm going to tell you what I told my kid. If you stand up to the bully will have more respect. Stand up to them. They're not going to like it. Nobody cares. You're not in this for them to like you. That's another thing, parents. Please understand. I don't want you guys going to team meetings and being all crazy. I don't. I want you to be professional. However, I mean, some stupid things come out of their mouths that they can't even back up. I mean, remember, Leanne, what they said about the speech and language pathologist? And during the hearing, remember what the hearing officer said? I mean, I was there. The woman, she sounded like she had problems. I mean, serious, like she was inebriated or something. I don't know. I mean, but the hearing officer even said she had no credibility. She told the hearing officer, and I mean, it's in the record. She told the hearing officer asked her a question about what she does. And the woman looked at her and said, I don't even know what I did this morning. This isn't a hearing. This is in a hearing. Okay, and she admitted she can't give her any information. Hence, she has no credibility. And that's another thing, Joanna. What you want to do is you want to break their credibility. You want to show to the hearing officer, you got to stick to your guns, stay on point. If they've given an answer that you don't like during the hearing and you're representing, you're doing pro se. So if you're doing pro se, let them talk, because 9 times out of 10, they're going to bury themselves. They're going to stick their foot in their mouth. Massachusetts, not so much. Massachusetts, they're a little different. Other states, I'm finding, these people just tell the truth. They tell the truth when it comes to what they did. Whether it's legal or not, they just assume it's legal because they did it. That's how they equate the legalities of IDEA and the implementation of IDEA. That's how they do it. They say that if they do it because they're to school, then it's legal. I guess they don't know anything about case law and how many people have lost. Drunk. Yes. So you said it, not me. I don't care. Yes. Inebriated? Yes. Equals drunk. That's what she said. It did sound like she was drunk. I'm sorry. I call it like it is. They say I'll call about a whole bunch of stuff about me, that I'm mean and I'm loud. I am. I get mad. I'm not standing for it. We're talking about a little kid. You're taking away services from a little kid. You have no life if you're trying to hurt a child, because your ego is so big that it goes beyond the kid. You have completely lost all objectivity. Now you're all about you and what you say is right. That's what the school districts do. They're not right. Anybody, and I proved it, anybody can get a degree. All you have to do is do your homework. That's all you have to do. Do your homework, you get an A. Do it right, you get an A. Follow the directions, you get an A. It's real easy to do your homework. You got to put in the time. What you put in, you get out. You don't put in much, you don't get much. You put in a lot, you get a lot. But I don't give them props because they went to school and they have a degree. I don't have respect for them because they're teachers. You have to earn my respect, first of all. and you are making the door wide open, so I don't have respect for you. Yeah, if they say so, it is so. Yeah, bite me. They're not. I don't care what they say. And we all know that just because they say so doesn't mean anything to me. They think that if they say so, therefore it is so. Yeah, until I file against you, and then it's not so. Joanna asked, how much weight does a closing statement have? If the district includes lies in a closing statement, what do you do? What you have to do is, because you can't anticipate their closing arguments. What you have to do is stick to your guns, okay? You have to stick to your guns. You have to stick to, when I mean stick to your guns, stay on point. You have to remember the issues that you filed the hearing for, and then you have to draw on all of your evidence when you're writing it up. You make the hearing officer go back. A closing argument is everything that you just went through. It's a summary of what you believe to be wrong in what the school district did and what you need as a remedy. It is because of the district's failure to provide your child with the necessary services based on this law and case law. Case law is huge, especially even if you're going to do a written statement or closing arguments. What I usually do in all of my hearings, I never do closing arguments at the hearing. I only do it, like I need time to do closing arguments, because what you want is the transcript of the hearing. You want to use the transcripts in your closing arguments. And see, that's why schools don't, sometimes they want to hurry up and do it. Well, I don't care nothing about them. What you tell the hearing officer is that you want time to do closing arguments because you need time to review the transcripts in order to develop and produce your closing statement. So the district lies, that's okay. Because when you could, if you look at the transcript, then you can find out where they lied. And you got them verbatim, and you can tell the hearing officer, here, this is when they said this contradicts this. It contradicts the law, it contradicts the paperwork, it contradicts the statements that they made in emails. Whatever it contradicts, you bring the hearing officer to see that. So as long as you're doing your closing arguments in written form, after you get the transcripts, you're golden. You can catch them in all of their lies. Just bring it in the thing. And you got a lot of times the hearing officer will tell you how many pages it is. If the hearing officer doesn't, ask the hearing officer how many pages, should you double space, all of that good jolly stuff. And if the hearing officer doesn't, it might be because it's assumed. So because you're a lay person, you ask the hearing officer, and they're usually really accommodating for the parents. So you ask, well, what you can even say, what is closing arguments? What does that mean? And then they'll tell you, because you're a lay person, you should know what closing arguments are. You're a mommy. You're a mommy. You're not a lawyer. And if you are, then you still do know what it is. But so that's how you address that. Hey guys, this is really fun. I have got to run, but I'm going to do this a lot because this is so much fun for me. And please, I want you guys to tell everybody, Leanne, Joanna, Trisha, everybody, thank you so much. Oh, okay. I got 2 more questions for Joanna. Wait. And 1 more question. So it carries a lot of weight in answer to your question. It carries a lot of weight. What is they submit the closing argument last minute? No, they can't submit it. You have a timeline. The hearing officer will tell you what the timeline is. If they submitted it past the timeline, they're lawyers. You're not. You do yours on time and they do theirs, then what you could do is 2 things. Call them out on it and tell the hearing officer that you want them sanctioned and that you want their things stricken from the record. That's what you can do because they submitted it late, and after all, they are attorneys, so they know how to do this. And because if you could do yours on time, they could have too. Number 1, because they could have asked for a continuance, extra time, because you could do that prior to the date that they have to submit it. Or 2, let me see, you can ask for that, or you can ask for extra time. That's what you can do. Okay, so that's how you do that. Anything that you need, you ask the hearing officer. Don't pretend to be a lawyer. You're not. Pretend, be you. Be mom. Play that mom thing up. It works like a charm. And it's not that it works. It's just that you will get leniency because you're a parent and this is not your field of expertise. Now, if they ask you some mommy questions, or if you work outside of the home, if they ask you something about that, you'll have plenty to say. But this is not your expertise. This is not your field or forte. So the hearing officer will give you a lot of leniency as far as what you're asking them to do, and won't so much for the school district's attorney because they're an attorney. But don't get it twisted though. The hearing officer is usually an attorney. Usually, Pennsylvania, they sometimey, but in most states, they're attorneys, and their brother is the school district's attorney. So that's not to say that you're not getting a fair hearing. Sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. But what you do is whatever questions you have, you ask it, and you ask it on the record. And I hope to God you have a court stenographer at your hearing. That's what I'm hoping. Because if it's a tape recording, that's going to suck really bad, because there's going to be a lot of things that says inaudible in the transcript. And they have to give you the written transcript for free, all of it. So you have to ask the hearing officer, when do you expect to get the transcript? And if they say about the closing arguments, you have to ask, so if I'm not going to get the closing arguments the transcripts until this date, then how long do I have to complete the statement, because I need the transcripts to write up my closing arguments. See how that works? Okay. So exactly, honey. Thank you so much, Trisha. I will keep fighting the good fight. I'm going to be 99,000 years old, and I'm going to be doing this. And by the way, if I die, I'm coming back as a ghost, and we're going to still do this. I'm going to do it as a ghost. I'm going to jump in everybody's body, and I'm going to go to meetings. Okay. So that's what I'm going to do, because I'm never going to stop. I love it. I love it. I love telling you guys this stuff. This is how you arm yourself. You guys don't know you have more power than you think. You really, really do. You just have to know how to use it, and you have to know where it is. And I'm going to take you there. I'll take you all over there, okay? All right, guys, I got to go. But if you guys want more of these, you let me know. I love talking about this stuff. It's my favorite topic of all time. I love you. I love you. I love you. Thank you for all. I see all those smiley faces. That's what distracted me earlier. I didn't know what those things were. That's so cool. Thank you, guys. I love you all. Kisses. See you real soon, okay? Fight back. You got the power. Bye, guys.